Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and today I thought I would answer a question I got asked the other day. And yes, I know that I have recently made another video saying, could you do a conjugate without chains? But someone had asked me, they're like, Jason, what's the minimum amount of equipment you think that somebody would need in order to make this training system work? Now, I want to be clear. This system works best. This system works best if you have access to bands, chains, and multiple specialty bars. All right, that is the perfect and ideal way to run it. I mean, look at the setup that I have. And ideally having access to a glute ham raise would be really helpful. But when you look at even what I do and what a lot of people do, you don't necessarily have to have that stuff. And when I say that I think that this is the best way for people to train once they're really out of their novice phase, I really do mean that. I do mean that. The problem a lot of people have is that a lot of times they're scared of maxing out. They can't come up with a variety of max effort lifts. And what's the other issue they run into? Equipment investment. Equipment costs, finding a gym with all this stuff. But look at the lifts that I'm doing just in this video. I just grabbed a few clips of different things that I'm doing. I would say the minimum equipment you need is a good rack, right? A good rack. A good sturdy bench to put in the power rack. Now you need a power rack with safeties. Good set of plates, obviously some good plates and some bumper plates, because you're going to need something that's bumper plates or training plates, like my Red Rogues there. Those are training plates. They're rated to be dropped. They're rubberized. Okay. I've used the calibrated plates for other stuff because it lets me know the exact weight I'm using. And then a set of those mats. Now those mats, I don't think people realize, even though you guys have seen me hit them with over 700 pounds and they don't deform, that's like $100. You can get an 18-pack of those. An 18-pack of those 1-inch mats off Amazon. Okay, when you start looking at what you can do with those, I think it becomes apparent that you could get all of your lifts in. The ability right there, 2-inch mat, doing a 2-inch block pull. You could do a 3-inch block pull. You could do a 4-inch block pull. You could use them for deficit work. So even if you weren't even going to mess with conventional, which you probably would need to mess with some conventional, but let's say you were going to do sumo pulls only, you don't have bands or chains, you could easily run up to 4 inches of block pulls with those 1-inch mats. That's 4 different lifts. 5th lift for your normal sumo, a 1-inch deficit, a 2-inch deficit. Just with that stuff alone, that's like 7 different sumo pulls you could do. And obviously you could do the same thing with conventionals. Okay, that's 7 different exercises. 7 different exercises. Of course, you see the pin press there, the dead pin press. Alright, and we'll get to that in a minute. What about the box squats? Well, I put my one missed lift in here on the high box. Normally I'm strong on the 12-inch box, and I did a 14-inch box, and I struggled with it because I'm not used to starting quite that high. Just above my normal start position was actually harder for me, but we'll keep working on that. There'll probably be other videos of me doing better on it before this video comes out. Okay, 14 inches there, just using that 18-pack. You could drop those all the way down to 10, so you go 14, 13, 12, 11, 10. That's like 5 different box squat heights. Okay, that's 5 different box squat heights. What about pin presses? You could easily come up with 3 or 4 different pin positions. You could do a dead squat out of the bottom. You could come up with at least 4 different heights for both of those. For box squatting, dead pin squats, easily 8 different squats that are just close 1-inch variations of each other in addition to your back squat. I mean, in theory, you could do a front squat if you really wanted. You could do a front squat if you really wanted. Easily 10 different squats. Using just your normal barbell. We don't have to have bands, we don't have to have chains, we don't have a safety bar. Okay, benching. Alright, you got a bench press like this. Okay, you could do wide grip benching. Now I'm going to go over to only closed grip benching, and everyone knows that. But you could do a medium grip. If you didn't want to do wide grip, you do medium grip benching. You do closed grip benching. What about that dead pin bench I just did? That one was 4 inches off my chest. I can drop it in 1-inch increments. 3, 2, 1, 0. 5 different pin presses. Now, here's the point I would make with that. That would only be for maxes. You would never do rep work. That's the one thing that I need to point out when we start messing with stuff like a pin press. When I tell people that it's dangerous to do pin pressing if you're not careful, That means you can't bounce off the pins. So if you're coming down and then bouncing off the pin and driving back up, that's a problem. Which means doing doubles or triples is a problem. But you could do 1 rep from a dead stop on the pin. Now people would say, why? Well, because you're not worried about eccentric overload. Usually on a lift like that, because it's light, it's going to be lighter than your normal bench press. You're not going to be able to bench your normal bench off of a dead pin. Because it's going to be a weight you could handle easily on the eccentric, usually if you miss a lift or if it's really grindy, you're going to be able to set it back down fairly easily. Okay? You're going to be able to bring it back down under control even on a missed lift. It's the hard eccentric that's a problem. Now, people who would say, well, couldn't you do that on rep work? Not really, because it's so fatiguing. To do a slow eccentric on a bench before a heavy bench is what would actually be a problem. It would really be a major energy bleed, and it would not work well for max effort. But if you're going to come off the pins from a dead stop at the bottom, like a deadlift, which is what it is, you're basically doing a deadlift with your bench. Right? It's perfectly fine. It's like we don't bounce out of the bottom of a deadlift. You can do 1 rep and then bring it down under control. It's fine. Just like you see me doing here. I mean, this is a 1 rep max for me. That's all I can press off that pin. But watch, I can touch it back down under control. So that gives you options. Pin presses. From the dead stop, you could do bottom up squats the same way. You can adjust the different heights. You have a lot of max effort lifts. So watch, I'm able to control it on the way back down. It's not bouncing off the pins. So you could do that with safeties. You've got a lot of options. Okay, you've got a lot of options. And then you've got all your other barbell movements. You could do a couple different types of good mornings. You could do standing good mornings, the wide stance and narrower stance. You could do seated good mornings. Okay, you could do Romanian deadlifts. You can do glute bridges. You have plenty of lower body assistance movements. Even good mornings can be done. There's different forms of good mornings you could do. You can do ones that are off the pins. You got a lot of variation. All your pressing, let's come back over. We had the pin presses. What about floor presses? You got wide grip, closed grip. It's like if you got your wider and closed grip bench, you can do the same thing on floor presses. You can do JM presses. You can do skull crushers. Okay, most racks have got a chin up and a pull-up bar. You got chins, you got pull-ups. You can do different types of rows with the barbell. You can do curls with the barbell. You could do conjugate. You could do conjugate with no problems. People say, what about the speed work? You can do it raw. You just have to adjust the percentages. And you have variations of those. You could do 2 inches different or 1 inch different range of motion on the different waves for the box squats. Because the box squats are a set range of motion, it's not like you're judging in the air with a normal squat. Box squatting for speed work, you could have 2 different box heights for different waves of speed work instead of rotating bands and chains. Deadlift's the same thing. You could do a normal sumo and you could do a deficit sumo or a block pull sumo for your speed work. Or you could do the opposites. You could do a 1 inch deficit and a 1 inch block so that they're 2 inches apart on your speed work raw. Okay, you could do that with the mats and the barbell. You don't have any problem setting those up. Now the speed benching could be a little more frustrating if you wanted to run separate 3-week waves with a slight variation, or you could do a different grip bench with. Right? Because you do speed work as a floor press, as long as you don't mind controlling it on the way down, you won't be able to get the fast rebound out of the bottom. You could rotate in a block of speed floor presses with just a barbell. Or you could do a medium grip and a closed grip for 2 different waves. You have options. So here's what I would say. What's the minimum equipment I would say would really let someone run conjugate? A really, really good barbell. A good rack with safeties and, chin-up bar on it. Okay. A bench, plates, and a good stack of those mats. Okay, a good stack of those mats. That's all you would need. And, mats like that, a lot of gyms have mats. Tons of gyms have mats. Even the 24-hour fitness I was training at, not that far from me before I did this, it had racks and it had a big pile of mats. It had the stuff, it had everything that I have here just to do those lifts. You could do that there. I could have done that at that gym. That regular 24-hour fitness. Everything that I just listed here. They also had a glute ham raise. Okay. But I would say that's what you should look for. Like if you're going to go to a commercial gym and you're like, could I run Conjugate there? Ideally, find one that's got mats. Find one that's got a glute ham raise. If you got those things, you could easily run this training system. You would have no trouble running this training system without having any bands or chains or specialty bars. That stuff is really, really nice to have, and I've invested in it, but it's not essential. Alright guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.